Welcome to my channel, detailing events throughout the decades. 1989. British Midland Flight 92, Kegworth air crash. British Midlands Flight 92 was a Boeing 737. It was on a scheduled flight from London's Heathrow Airport to Belfast International Airport. The 737 was the newest design from Boeing, and Flight 92 had only been in service for 85 days. It had accumulated 521 airframe hours. In the cockpit was Captain Kevin Hunt and First Officer David McClelland. Captain Hunt had been with the airline since 1966. On January 8, 1989, after takeoff from London's Heathrow Airport at 19:52, Flight 92 climbed to 35,000 feet cruising altitude when a blade detached from the fan of the left side engine. The pilots were unaware of the source of the problem. A pounding noise was suddenly heard, along with severe vibrations. Smoke poured into the cabin through the ventilation system, and a burning smell had entered the aircraft. Several passengers sitting near the rear of the aircraft noticed smoke and sparks coming from the left engine. The flight was quickly diverted to nearby East Midlands Airport. Captain Hunt disengaged the aircraft's autopilot. He asked the first officer which engine was malfunctioning and was told it was the left, then the right engine. The pilots had been used to the older version of the Boeing and did not realize that this aircraft was different. The captain later claimed that his perception of smoke led him to assume the fault was in the right engine. The pilots throttled back the working right engine instead of the malfunctioning left engine. They had no way of visually checking the engines from the cockpit, and cabin crew did not inform them that the smoke and flames had been seen in the left engine. The pilots shut down the right engine and could no longer smell smoke, which led them to believe that the problem had been dealt with. However, this was only a coincidence. When the auto throttle was disengaged to shut down the right engine, the fuel flow to the left engine was reduced, and the excess fuel which had been igniting in the jet exhaust disappeared, reducing damage and stopping the smell of smoke. During the final approach to East Midlands Airport, fuel was pumped to the damaged engine to help maintain speed, which then caused it to cease operating entirely and burst into flames. The flight crew attempted to restart the right engine by windmilling, using the air flowing through the engine to rotate the turbine blades and start the engine, but by now, the aircraft was flying too slow for this to happen. Just before crossing the M1 motorway at 2024, the tail struck the ground and the aircraft bounced back into the air and over the motorway, knocking down trees before crashing onto the far embankment and breaking into three sections. The aircraft was 475 meters short of the runway's paved surface, and 630 meters from its threshold. Remarkably, there were no vehicles traveling on that part of the motorway at the time of the crash. There were 118 passengers on board. 39 of them were killed outright in the crash, with a further 8 more dying later from their injuries. In total 47 people died. All 8 crew members survived. There were 79 survivors, 74 of these suffered serious injuries and 5 suffered only minor injuries. 5 firefighters also suffered minor injuries during the rescue operation. The first person to arrive on scene was a motorist, Graham Pearson. He helped passengers for over 3 hours. The investigation established that the fire warning lights were not cross-wired at the time. They found that Captain Hunt believed that the right engine was malfunctioning due to the smell of smoke in the cabin. This was because in previous Boeing 737's variants bleed air for the cabin air conditioning, and this was taken from the right engine. However, Boeing had redesigned the system to use bleed air from both engines. Several cabin staff and passengers noticed that the left engine had a stream of unburnt fuel igniting in the jet exhaust, but did not pass this on to the pilots, as it was assumed that they were already aware of the problem. The smell of smoke had disappeared when the auto throttle was disengaged and the right engine shut down, due to reduction of fuel to the damaged left engine as it reverted to manual throttle. Pilots were trained to check all meters and review all decisions, which Captain Hunt proceeded to do. While conducting the review, Captain Hunt was interrupted by East Midlands Airport informing him he could descend to 12,000 feet in preparation for landing. Captain Hunt did not resume the review after the transmission ended. The pilots had received no simulator training on the new 737 either. Analysis of the engine after the crash determined that the fan blades used were subject to abnormal amounts of vibration when operating at high power settings above 10,000 feet. It was an upgrade to an existing engine, so in-flight testing was not mandatory, and the engine had only been tested in a laboratory. After this was discovered by investigators, 99 Boeing 737s which were in service were grounded and the engines modified. Following the crash, it is now mandatory to test all new designed turbofan engines under representative flight conditions. The unnoticed vibration had created excessive metal fatigue in the fan blades, which caused one of the fan blades to break off, and this damaged the engine, upsetting the delicate balance. This caused a reduction in power and an increase in vibration. The auto throttle attempted to compensate for this by increasing the fuel flow to the engine. Unable to burn all the additional fuel, it was ignited in the exhaust flow, creating a large trail of flames behind the engine. Evaluation of the injuries sustained in the crash led to improvements in aircraft safety and emergency instructions for passengers. Captain Hunt and First Officer McClelland were both seriously injured in the crash, and were dismissed following the criticisms of their actions in the official report. In April 1999, Captain Hunt told a documentary that we were the easy option, the cheap option if you wish. We made a mistake, we both made mistakes, but the question we would like answered is why we made those mistakes. British Midlands later paid First Officer McClelland an out-of-court settlement for unfair dismissal. The motorist, Graham Pearson, who assisted the survivors, sued the airline for post-traumatic stress disorder and was awarded £57,000 in damages in 1998. A memorial to those who died and those who were injured is located in the village cemetery in nearby Kegworth, together with a garden, which was made using soil taking from the crash site. Forever remembering those who died on Flight 92, and remembering all those who were injured. May you never be forgotten. Thank you for watching and learning about events through history. Please subscribe to my channel to view other tragic events throughout the decades.